And welcome to Tuesday's program, another whip around the country and the region to see the main news stories. Thank you very much for joining in. Now, there is a free webinar about prostate health. It's going to be held on Sunday. I'll tell you more about that in the program. There will be a link in the description as well if you'd like to register for that. I'm not being paid for it. I just think it's something that you might be interested in, and it's free if you'd like to register for that. Also, I'd like to remind you, if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, that would be very helpful to me. Now, we did have somebody yesterday say that the way I had the picture framed, I had my head in the middle of that frame behind me, so I've shuffled things around a bit today, so hopefully that's better. It doesn't bother you. I don't want you to be bothered. In the meantime, let's get started and have a look at some of the main news stories. Well, this one, starting up in Kanchanaburi, bing, there it is, a post from the Bangkok Post on Facebook saying that the 150-metre skywalk along the banks of the Prayut River in Kanchanaburi is closed until September the 15th, that would be Thursday, after last Saturday opening due to what officials say is a shortage of shoe cover dispensers. So they're the wraparound elasticized things that, you know, when you go to a clinic or a hospital, you put on those shoe covers. Well, they give you those to put over your shoes or your feet so that you don't scratch the glass as you walk along the skywalk. It is glass. So they didn't have enough of them. And so they had to close the new attraction down for a week. A little bit embarrassing. Here it is. I've got some photos for you, courtesy of a number of different outlets. And as you can see, it's, got some beautiful views up there looking across the River Kwai and across the township of Kanchanaburi. So it looks to be in a slightly odd place. If you look in one direction, it looks beautiful, the pristine river and across the banks. You look the other way, it's just a little Thai town. Anyway, that's what they've done, and obviously built out of glass, so if you suffer from vertigo, you may not be very happy up there. But another feature of visiting Kanchanaburi, a great place, I would say. If you haven't been up there, it's one of those little hidden treasures of Thailand. So well worth a visit up to Kanchanaburi. So the Nation is reporting that the Kanchanaburi Glass Skywalk was temporarily shut down on Sunday, just a day after being unveiled as the Western Province's latest tourist attraction. Actually, it was closed down on the Saturday, only 2 hours after being opened. Second paragraph there from The Nation, that they explained they didn't have enough special shoes or shoe covers, overwhelmed by the number of tourists that visited on the first day, scheduled to open this Thursday. Down the bottom there, tourists are required to buy a pair of special shoes for 60 baht before being allowed onto the all-glass skyway, walkway. They can take the shoes home as a souvenir. They probably cost about 3 baht. Anyway, good luck to them. Going on, a couple of paragraphs there. Facebook users slammed the provincial authority for a lack of preparation that resulted in tourists having to go home. Others complained that since the attraction was built with taxpayers' money, the 60 baht fee is absurd and the shoes should instead be provided for free. Probably have to agree with them there. And scheduled opening times are 9 till noon and then 3 till 6 on weekdays, on weekends and public holidays. The attraction's open all day without a break to accommodate more visitors. However, the number of tourists for each round is limited to 120. You don't want people falling through the glass now, do you? And the last paragraph there, the province has also built a public park along the riverbank and created a walking street below the walkway. Vendors offer their wares from 4 till 10 every Saturday. The new landmark is located near the City Pillar Shrine and is expected to boost the local economy and tourist trade. I couldn't agree more. I think that's a great addition to Kanchanaburi. These skywalks popping up all over the place, giving you a better view of many different locations. But yes, it is glass. So if you've got a problem, and there's been some great videos showing different people getting onto some of these skywalks and looking down and getting completely petrified, gripping onto things on their hands and knees, trying to crawl their way back. So obviously a lot of people get a little bit frightened when they get up onto those things. The Nation also reporting that 4 districts in eastern Bangkok have been warned of the flood situation worsening. Just noting there that the 4 districts are Lat Krabang, Prayut, Suan Luang and Prakanong. It looks to me like only 3. We'll talk a little bit more about the floods later on in the program. To our next story now, and from the Straits Times, 2 stories that grabbed my attention. The Japanese government planning to waive tourist visa requirements, and then further down, Hong Kong's reopening hinges on vaccination, according to the finance chief. And the story about Japan's government's planning to waive tourist visa requirements as part of further easing of border controls enacted to stop the spread of COVID-19. The Prime Minister Fumio Kishida saying that would allow individual travellers to visit Japan without travel agency bookings, and Japan did not require tourist visas for 68 countries and regions before the pandemic. So good to see that the travel situation easing up in Japan. Japan last week raised the daily ceiling of inbound travellers to 50,000 from 20,000, and certainly among the major economies, one of the most restrictive border measures. And to the other story, Hong Kong's reopening hinges on vaccination. So the Financial Secretary Paul Chan saying that Hong Kong's full reopening to the outside world hinges on further boosting vaccination levels. The bottom paragraph there, only through concerted efforts, further boosting vaccine uptake, can we have more leeway to resume international travel to the greatest extent. Just under 75% of the Hong Kong population aged 12 and older have received 3 doses of COVID-19 vaccines, according to the latest official data. I would have thought that was a very high level for 3 doses of COVID-19 vaccine. Mr. Chan did not give a target for immunisation levels before additional reopening could occur, but obviously they want more. And also on that article, just it finishes by saying, about 73% of the dead in that age group, that's people over the age of 70, weren't vaccinated at all, according to official statistics. So interesting data there out of Hong Kong as reported by the Straits Times. You are watching TNT. It's a Tuesday, and I'd like to invite you, I'm not being paid for this by the way, to a seminar, How to Manage an Elevated PSA Level. Obviously, prostate health more important for only men who are over the age of 50. Dr. Sunchai will be the speaker on the free webinar. Now, it's going to be held on Sunday at 10 a.m. Thai time, and there's a link in the description of this video if you'd like to register for that particular seminar. It's a webinar. You don't actually have to go to the B&H hospital. It'll be held online, so you can sit in the comfort of your own home or a location of your choice and join in that particular webinar hosted by Dr. Sunchai, who I hope to interview in a few weeks. Once again, I'm not being paid for this. It's a free event and you're welcome to register for it at the link in the description. Also, thank you to our sponsor, 5 Star Marine. Obviously, this time of the year, a little bit tricky in picking the best weather and the right days to get out there on the water, and they do it very well with these boats heading out to some of these beautiful islands, some 32 islands around Phuket. So I can warmly recommend 5 Star Marine, and a link to their website under this video as well. So I thought now I'd like to just cover the Chinese media and see how they're covering the death of Queen Elizabeth II, and just thought it'd be interesting to see what's on their headlines for a change. And this is from Xinhua, which is the English-speaking outlet from the main Chinese government. So there in the circle we've got President Xi congratulates King Charles III on accession to the British throne, and also further down, the Chinese mainland reports 164 new local confirmed COVID-19 cases. Well, we know to the extent the Chinese are absolutely hell-bent on this zero COVID policy. And even a place like Thailand today is going to report, 1,500 confirmed PCR tested new COVID cases, and everything's back and reopened. But China, a country of some 1.4 billion, closing entire cities down for nationally 164 new confirmed cases. The main story there on the front page of Xinhua: mourning ceremony held for victims of the earthquake in China's Sichuan. And if we just go to that particular story, a total of 93 people have died. 23 remain missing after a 6.8 magnitude earthquake struck the Luding County in Sichuan province. Where is that? So there it is. If you have a look, up the top there you've got Beijing, down the bottom there you've got Bangkok, and then in the middle of nowhere, a very remote area of China, is the Luding County in the Sichuan province. To our next story, and we're covering some of the flooding. The Nation got some video there just showing what some of the traffic is like on just ordinary roads in Bangkok, where cars are having to go through quite deep water. And this, of course, makes it very difficult for pedestrians and motorcycle riders who are having to lift their feet up, everybody there with their raincoats. So I thought I'd share my experience with the rain yesterday.
Sometimes living in Thailand, you're going to have these torrential and unexpected downpours. So what do? Well, you can't really do much. You can persist and keep driving, but if you're on a motorcycle, it's pretty uncomfortable and something's going to get wet, even if you've got a raincoat on. Look at this lady here. Bless her. She's just going to keep driving no matter what. But it can be pretty dangerous. And you can see with the extent of these downpours, it just literally comes out of nowhere. And it'll clear up just as quickly. And you can see, like places in Bangkok, when they get these downpours, how it can suddenly flood in some areas. And then it can take hours to dissipate. But if you're living in Thailand, this is just something that you have to get used to. It's also very cleansing. It makes the air a lot fresher after the monsoonal rain. But when it's like this, you just do what I did, drive off the road undercover, and wait it out. Well, just a quick postscript. Some of us do get caught in rainstorms no matter how organised we are, but thank heavens to the ubiquitous 7-Eleven poncho, we can soldier on. But even these ubiquitous 20 baht 7-Eleven and Family Mart ponchos now cost, talk about inflation, 29 baht.
And that's why you always wear shorts when you're riding a motorcycle here in Thailand. Now, I did some analysis last week when we heard that the Bumjai Thai Party and the Democrats had voted against a proposal to change the way that the Prime Minister is voted. Now, when a party doesn't win 50% of the vote plus one, the joint sitting of Parliament, that's the Senate and the lower house, 250 senators, 500 members of the lower house, jointly appoint a Prime Minister. This is how the last Prime Minister, Prayut was nominated and then elected within the Parliament. So they were going to change that by saying, well, it should be just the lower house. This was the proposal, and that the senators shouldn't be involved. This is because the Senate is handpicked, appointed by, in the past, the military-backed NCPO. And so they are basically army conservative sympathisers. So a bit of analysis in The Nation. The government reeling as Anutin switches to Thaksin's side ahead of election. I certainly noted that this was actually quite a big thing when the Bumjai Thai Party, led by Anutin, the current Public Health Minister and Deputy Prime Minister, with his Bumjai Thai Party, and the Democrats both basically crossed the House and voted against the ruling Palang Prayut party to change the way that a Prime Minister is voted in. Let's see the way the nation's covered this. The Bumjai Thai party last week broke ranks with the ruling Palang Prayut party by voting for a bill to end the Senate's power to select the Prime Minister. And they call this a cunning power play by the Public Health Minister Anutin ahead of the next general election. Anutin questioned the fairness of allowing an unelected Senate to decide who becomes the Prime Minister. And further down there, observers believe Anutin is preparing for a 10-year ruling against Prayut. In other words, he believes that when the Constitutional Court bring down their findings about how long the Prime Minister's been serving as Prime Minister, he believes, or he's betting, that they're going to come down not in his favour, which is going to provide a bit of a constitutional problem, but probably we'll see Prayut continue as the caretaker Prime Minister through to the next election. Observers believe that he's preparing for a 10-year ruling against Prayut. Hence, he's distancing himself from the Palang Prayut party in expectation of forming a coalition government with the Thai party. So, as I predicted, this is a man who will swing his allegiances from one side to the other if the fair winds take him in that direction. And just noting here, as I just love that photo. Pundits say it was not surprising to see Anutin change colours as he was seen as a man for all seasons. And down the bottom there, political observers point to Anutin's biography, where there's a hole, there's a rat, as proof of his opportunistic nature. Anutin's nickname is Nu, which means rat in Thai. I think that says it all. We've got some numbers here about tourist arrivals. And this is during July, so the tourism situation slowly improving. Where are they coming from? Well, Malaysia is the main destination. According to statistics from the Thai Ministry of Tourism and Sports, you got 220,000 Malaysians, then Indians next, a long way in the second place, I might add. So really Malaysians keeping things alive here in Thailand to a large degree at the moment. 106,000, then you've got Vietnam, South Korea, Singapore, Cambodia, Laos, the United States, the United Kingdom, and then Australia. Australia always having a consistent, this is like for 30 years, you can see the number of Australians coming to Thailand each year. The graph is sort of like this, it's quite consistent. Australians always being a consistent performer in the tourism stakes coming to Thailand. Now I noticed on that graph with Malaysia, Vietnam, Cambodia and Laos, I'm questioning whether most of those people coming from those locations are actually tourists. As far as Malaysia is concerned, my feeling is that most of those Malaysians would be coming across the southern border for perhaps a weekend, if they are tourists, or people just trading because, of course, there's a lot of daily trade between Malaysia and Thailand in those border areas. And then same with Vietnam, Cambodia and Laos. I'm pretty sure those people are either looking for work or they're just travelling generally. I don't know if many of those would be tourists. Might be more than 50%, but it's certainly not everybody that's coming. So that's interesting, the arrival stats from July showing where people are coming from at the moment. You're on the TNT program as we flip to the next story. This one a little bit odd, from coconuts.co, and please don't actually sell your kidneys for an iPhone 14. Some advice there from the Red Cross, and a lot of people surprised to see that photo and thought it was real, where of course it was just a joke. You don't sell your kidney for anything, let alone an iPhone 14. So bartering away vital organs in exchange for smartphones is illegal, a health official warned yesterday in response to a jokey photo spreading across social media. Nice to see it was a joke. He said there is no organ trading like this, it's prohibited. said a gentleman from the Thai Red Cross Donation Centre. It's inappropriate that organ trading is promoted, especially to exchange one for money to buy an iPhone. It's immoral and unethical, and it was also a joke. Down the bottom, the photo made it to Thai Net on Saturday via a meme page that garnered lots of laugh reactions and comments criticising its insensitivity. Gee, if you're going to get offended by that on the internet, you better spend a little bit more time. There's plenty there to offend you. And just noting, selling one's kidney has been adopted in internet parlance in recent years for all the big ticket items. Thai struggle to afford, especially a slew of festivals with big name lineups that cost thousands of baht. I'd sell my kidney to go to that, I think is what people would say. iPhone 14s, if you care, will be available for pre-order. iPhone 14s, if you're interested, will be available for pre-order. iPhone 14s, if you're interested, became available for pre-order last week for exorbitant prices, says coconuts.co, ranging from 32,900 to 66,900 Thai baht, depending on the model and the storage capacity. Will you be upgrading your phone to an iPhone 14? I actually use an iPhone 12 at the moment. I've had the 6, the 8, the 10, you get the idea. This is the 12, and I will be upgrading to the 14 because I sort of just routinely upgrade my phone every 2 years. I note that it's got a much better camera, so hopefully you'll get me in much more detail. You'll be able to see all the wrinkles even better. So there's the prices of the iPhones. I think mine will fall somewhere in the middle of that price bracket. And with that, we thank you very much for watching TNT today. Just a reminder about that webinar. If you're interested in prostate health, there is a link in the description. Also a link for our sponsor, 5 Star Marine. We appreciate their support. And it might be a bit of a hit or miss day heading out to the islands today. I've seen plenty of blue sky, but we had some showers earlier. So it might be one of those days where they have to dodge around the showers to get people out to some of the islands. Hope you have a good day. Keep your feet dry, and we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.